what you gonna do? Just dropping on you.
2 years into her New York story, Madonna's existence seemed bleak, but as ever, she was working on her future. She persuaded Steve and Bray to co-write with her, and he assumed that they were resuming their relationship. Things were no longer that simple.
Being Madonna's boyfriend is a difficult job.
I met Steve a few times, although I never quite, understood what her relationship to him was.
Some people are very upfront, and some people are you'll find out eventually that you're not my boyfriend and that I'm seeing 12 other people. That was more her approach.
It seemed to me that he thought she was his girlfriend, but she didn't seem to me that she thought that way.
And there would be those times where someone would come to the door of the rehearsal room and they'd say, "Is Madonna here?" And I could just tell by the sound of the voice, well, they're not looking for, this person is not looking for, position as a guitar player. This is something else going on here. And I just learned that it would probably be best not to really count on her in that area.
Madonna and Steve formed the core of the new band, Emmy, her childhood nickname. A shared love of British music, and in particular the two-tone scene, cemented their creative partnership. Home was still a rehearsal room in the music building.
Now, the music building sounds like some sort of great place that you make music, but in fact it was this horrible dive where people had really cheap recording studios. It was about 2 blocks from Port Authority, which was, I guess in most places, probably the bus terminal is just not exactly where you want to be.
It was a pretty hellish existence, with the ever-present sound of bands rehearsing throbbing through the walls. Madonna and Steve managed to deal with these hardships in their own ways.
I worked at a record store, part-time, and Madonna, I think, just has always relied on the kindness of strangers, as Blanche Dubois put it. She had benefactors, she had patrons, and I don't know what was involved. I'd rather not go into that, but she always had. I mean, clearly it wasn't anything under, nefarious or anything, because she would have had more money.
Madonna began to develop her own songwriting, laying bare her own emotions and relationships in the lyrics for songs like Hot House Flower. Her private and public persona were beginning to merge.
Shut the fuck up!
Record companies were not exactly beating a path to Emmy's door, and once again she felt a change of direction was needed, and a change of name. From here on in, she announced, the band would be called Madonna.
I said, I think that's too Catholic, and it's just starting to be, is everything about you? I can hear myself saying something like that probably, and I realized, far too late that yes, it was all about you.
To accompany this new formula, she and Steve set to work on a whole new set of songs and began to draw on a whole new set of influences. Ska was out, and in came the Pretenders.
There was something so powerful about the Pretenders that just the music was so evocative, and the energy of the band was so intense that I think we just hoped that some of us would maybe rub off on us. so that was Laugh to Keep from Crying was definitely out of that school.
Without a manager, it was down to Madonna to find the band work. She kept them busy on the club circuit.
If you define gigging as taking the subway to the show with your drums and getting paid about $7 or so, yeah, we were gigging.
Playing to a handful of faces in some sweaty dive was hardly the stuff dreams were made of. She started on a concerted campaign of self-promotion. She knew that she was a contender, even if no one else did.
She somehow snuck into a record industry party, and Madonna, I think no one actually knew how she got in there, but somehow she managed to know where the party was and I guess sneak in. What struck me about her was that she was walking around in boys' pajamas, these gray pajamas, And I didn't really know who she was, but you couldn't help but notice her because she was in boys' pajamas. And she actually walked up to me and she said, "Do you know who I am?" And I said, "No, I don't know who you are." And she said, "You will."
But what she really needed was an insider who could help her make the right moves.
I think very often she took too long in the process to realize whether or not someone could or could not help her. She got scammed. I think as many times as she may have been accused of scamming men, I think men scammed her many, many more times.
Enter Camille Barbone. Camille and her partner, Adam Alter, ran the only professional studio in the music building. Madonna targeted her as somebody who could further her cause.
Her first encounter with me was a flirt. I stepped onto an elevator. She was already on the elevator. She looked me dead in the eye and said, "Did you do it yet?" And for a minute I was taken aback, but I said, "Do it yet?" "No, not yet." And it became a running joke.
Having aroused Camille's curiosity, Madonna got on the phone and organised a gig at the legendary Max's Kansas City, especially so that Camille could come and check her out. Unfortunately, she didn't turn up.
She came storming into my office the next morning, slamming things. I was completely and utterly intrigued. And I just said, "I'm sorry, I had a headache. I didn't make it to your gig." And she just lit into me. It's my life. How could you do this to me? I set that gig up just for you. Just went off on me, and I really enjoyed it, and I really thought she was a star at that point in time.
Madonna had found her insider.
I said, "How would you like a manager?" And she just screamed, "Yeah," and jumped up in the air and kind of threw her arms around me, and that's how it all began.
I didn't really feel any emotional kind of nurturing going on. It was more of like, "I'm going to make you a star," and the other person saying, "I'm going to be a star."
My whole premise for managing Madonna was more to advance her career in a humane and a moral and a clean way. It was very obvious to me that there were a lot more things that Madonna needed, like a place to live, like food to eat, like clothes to wear. So I basically began to support Madonna.
The first thing that the new manager did was to sack the band, all of them.
I didn't think that they were of the record industry caliber that I would need in order to get a record deal for her.
Steve was soon back in the band, however, after the original drummer broke the manager's golden rule that the hired hands do not sleep with the talent.
So I became the drummer of the Madonna band now, where the music had taken on another personality.
The new sound was harder, more adult-orientated rock, and something has slipped in the style department.